Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7, and today we are taking a look at the Forever Steel Tyokutuk, and that's with the ultimate goal of seeing if it's worth adding to your collection or your daily carry rotation. Now, this was designed and OEM'd by Forever Steel, and this was sent to the channel by a friend of the channel. I don't know if he wants to be named or not, so I will leave him unnamed at the moment. But yeah, this knife is unique in a couple of different ways, not just the looks, but jumping into it, we've got a full titanium integral. So integral means that it was milled from one piece of titanium. I'm not totally convinced that's a more expensive process, but the popular belief is that integrals are tougher to do, or rather more expensive to do, because if you're doing a sandwich construction, like with, say, this Max Ace here, Max Ace Peregrine 2, by the way, but if you're doing a sandwich construction knife and you screw up milling, you only have to throw away the one scale. Whereas with an integral, if you mess anything up, you've got to throw away the whole brick of titanium. And by whole brick, I mean you just have to throw away the whole knife. You know, scrap it or whatever they do with knives that are, you know, not like up to standard. I'm not totally convinced they're more expensive. Whenever I look at companies like We, and I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but whenever I look at companies like We, their pricing only makes sense if you factor in that they don't mark up for integrals. Because they have integrals priced, you know, I'd say $350 to $400, but they also have regular knives that are priced $350 to $400. So it doesn't seem like there's a substantial markup there. A lot of their integrals fall into the same price range, but I mean, they have a lot of knives that are $350 to $400, some over $400 that aren't integrals. And then not only that, but like if you look at the Brian Brown Raptor V3 drop, that's an integral as well. Integral as well, and that's priced at $410. And his normal Corvus is priced at like $375. So you're talking a $35 difference. Both Riot made. One's a full integral. So like, you know, there's other aspects of the knife that could make it, you know, $35 more expensive than the Corvus, not just being an integral. But as time goes on, I get more and more suspicious that integrals cost more to do. I think most companies have it nailed down, and they tend to price it in line with, maybe in line with some of their most premium stuff, or maybe there's a slight increase, but I don't think the increase, if any, is substantial at all. So anyway, jumping back into this, I love the two-tone bolstered look that this knife has. We've got a few prominent gold accents, two on the pivot collar, one on the button, and it's not a button lock, but one on the button and then one on this pocket clip. So I said it was special for a couple of reasons. One of those reasons, other than being an integral, is that this button, as you can see, we have a flush pocket clip. But if you look, whenever I push this button, that pocket clip pops right out. Now, for me personally, because I wear stretchy jeans, this is pretty easy for me to get in and out of my pocket, right? They have a little ramp built in there. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, see, they have a little ramp built in there so you can slide in. But everybody else, even though I haven't had an issue with it, literally everybody else that I've talked to about this knife has said that they don't like the pocket clip, the way that it goes in and out of the pocket. Me, I think it's great because ergonomically you don't have to deal with a pocket clip, and they made it look really good. So, because I think if you had a pocket clip here, which the pocket clip has to go here because you can't put it anywhere down here. But if you had a pocket clip here, it would be hotspot central. It would just be clawing into the palm of your hand. So I'm pretty thankful they did it that way. Obviously, it's a karambit. Now, karambit 99% of the time means tactical. I don't necessarily think that this knife is meant to be tactical. I think they wanted a blade longer than the handle, but they didn't want to do a full handle because the weight, that would have taken this thing over 6 ounces, right? Maybe even closer to 7 ounces, which would be massive. So, I could see why the karambit ring gives you enough length to fit in a ton of blade. That blade basically goes all the way down to the bottom and is, as far as I can tell, dead nut center. So the karambit ring gives you that minus all the extra weight. And then it gives you some functionality. If you want to, well, here, let me pop her open first. Look how big that thing is. But you can grab right here with your pinky and kind of lock in. Yeah, you can do the reverse, like you can do the reverse grip if you want to. They have this notched almost like it was for punching, almost, but absolutely do not punch with this thing because it's going to destroy your finger. You'll probably break your finger if you punch with it. There's too much room, and it's not sitting. Like, if this was sitting against my palm, that would be fine, but it's not. So, like, I can push this into my finger, and my finger is taking all the brunt of the pressure, not my hand, right? So if you punch, yeah, you're isolating all of the pressure of your punch onto this point, which is going to hurt them, but you're also isolating all of the pressure from your punch onto your finger, which means this finger is gone. So good luck fidgeting. Oh, we're actually going to leave that open. As far as ergonomics go, yeah, it's got a pretty wicked bend to it, but it feels really natural. If you start your grab right around here, like with your pointer finger, it's got a really nice, super ergonomic, super comfortable grip. I'm not inside the karambit hole at all. I'm just chilling. And then if I needed to choke up, which I absolutely can, then I'm even further away from the karambit. I'm just as comfortable. But with where that pocket clip would be, it would be murdering me right now. That would be awful. I do wish they had some jimping up here. We had jimping for the front flipper, but we don't have any on the actual blade. Oh, I just realized that. Look at this. See the grind? We have like a super hardcore swedge over here, and over here it's just one single grind. That's wild. And the fact that it's on the backside too. Crazy. Well, while we're talking about the blade, let's go ahead and jump into it. So we do have some pretty aggressive grinds here, right? So we have this massive top swedge. We've got some satin on the flats. We've got this thing. And if somebody could tell me what that's called, that would be great. We are rocking a Tonto because we have a secondary tip. And then we do have a grind, making this thinner for slicing, more robust for poking, right? On the back end, we have a lot of the same stuff, except we also add this Vero style flicking hole and then this massive swedge right up here. But we still have the hand satin. Well, no, not a hand satin. I'll just say a satin on the flats. We still have the compound grind. You know, nothing too crazy. It's M390 blade steel. And I don't know what their heat treat is. I know Forever Steel does, you know, hyper premium small batch knives. So like they might make like 100 pieces of something and then they don't go back to it. At least that I'm aware of, they don't go back to it. They just drop it and then it sells and then they go. They've done things like, the Dracula. Man, if you haven't seen the Dracula, you need to pause and you need to Google that. The Forever Steel Dracula is a button lock titanium integral, and that thing is an absolute monster of a knife. Wicked recurve, all sorts of like milling in the spine of the blade. Super cool. But I've never felt a Forever Steel that didn't feel like it was at the top of its game. You might not love their aesthetics. Like, I know there's going to be, I mean, this knife here was probably made for like 5% of the enthusiast community, you know, given its price and its, you know, very unique aesthetic. But even if you don't like the way it looks, you can't ignore the build quality. I mean, these guys are absolutely phenomenal at what they do. I'm going to say up there with the best Wiis for their mid-range models, like some of their, you know, their average models, but then far exceeding Wii whenever they, as far as machining prowess, whenever they decide to go a little crazy. And they sell stuff other than knives too. They even have things like, they have Nux, they have fidget toys. A lot of their stuff is just oozing with Timascus. It's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, big fan of Forever Steel in general. Now let's talk about the action. We have two modes of deployment. We've got the Vero reverse flip cutout, and then we've got this front flipper. So really authoritative snap out, really snappy action. It's easy to deploy because of how much space, and you know the detent's stiff enough that you can build up pressure before it launches. Love that. My favorite is going to be the Vero style reverse flick. Very good action. Oh, and I know some people have said they've had a little trouble opening this. It's not terribly difficult. You just have to, you know, when you're holding it, you just have to put this into your palm just like you would any knife, right? Except it's got a hole in it. But if you put this into your palm to kind of brace yourself, and boom, it fires out like nobody's business. But the action on this, I'll say it's a medium heavy detent. If this thing had a little bit of lube and maybe even some time to break in, this is going to be a hydraulic drop. You know, so the action itself and the drop are both great acoustics. I like the acoustics in the front flip a little bit better. A lot better. And then, oh. And then the drop. If this were to drop by itself, the acoustics would be better. But since it hasn't broken in, this thing's literally like 2 days old. It's going to take some time to get there. But I'm willing to bet the action and acoustics gets better with time. But overall, very nice. Now, as far as the specs go, we're looking at, you know, I actually hadn't measured it yet. Let me do that really quick. We're going to include the carambit in the overall length. We are rocking, it looks like, okay, so I'll be totally honest with you guys. Whenever it's not an easy fraction, I typically don't know what to call it. So I know that we are past 8 3/4. So I'm thinking like 8 7/8 maybe. But we're just shy of 9 inches overall. And that's with a cutting edge just shy of 4 inches. And then a blade length of 3.5 inches. Oh, yeah, blade length of actually a little more than 3.5 inches, like 3 and 4/5, taking a stab at it. Yeah, but it's close enough that you guys know what I'm talking about. So feel free to teach me how to do that the right way in the comments. And then in overall weight, we're rocking 5.5 ounces, which is actually really respectable considering how big this knife is. Now, it's not going to hit the inch per ounce ratio, but regardless, given the size of the blade and the overall length of this knife, it doesn't feel like 5.5 ounces, to be totally honest with you. Checking the balance on it. Okay, so the balance is literally right there at the bolster, which, since that's going to be where your middle, or not your middle, but where your pointing finger hits most of the time, that's excellent because it gives you the kind of the illusion that it's lighter than what it is, because you're not bearing all the weight of the knife on your own, it's balancing itself out. So instead of feeling like 5.5 ounces, maybe it feels like, 4.75 ounces or 5 ounces even. But this knife doesn't feel substantially heavy. It's also, even though it's thick, it's, I guess this would be considered short, which means like you can get a full grip on it, and it still feels like it's the girth is confidence inspiring. I'll say that. The girth is confidence inspiring. Yeah. Now let's do a couple of size comparisons. We're going to bust out the milled aluminum Civivi Brazen, third best Civivi ever made, only beaten out by the Visions. And we're going to go ahead and do the real steel Sylph. Oh, you know what? I got to use those lines. I keep forgetting to do that. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we are we're coming in about an inch and a half bigger than the Civivi Brazen, and we are coming in about 2 inches, maybe 2.5 inches. Dang, maybe 3 inches. We're coming in way bigger than the real steel Sylph, as you guys find out that I'm not good at measuring. That's why we do size comparisons, because it's just easier. We're going to hilariously bring out the Migaron Gotov budget knife of the year for 29 bucks. How can you beat it? 29 bucks. You get aluminum. You're getting gray PVD. It is D2 steel. Yeah, it's D2, but D2 is a fantastic steel. Like, there's literally no need to like look down on it. It's a perfectly fine EDC steel. It's nearly stainless. But yeah, for 29 bucks, I can't think of a knife better than this one. So budget knife of the year for sure. Well, so far. All right. Overall thoughts. So I really like this knife. But this is not a knife that you can just generally recommend, right? Because the use case this knife is made for doesn't exist for most people. So this is going to be for one, at the price point, it's 420 bucks, by the way. For the price point, this is in enthusiast territory. And why would enthusiasts be drawn to this? Well, for one, it looks pretty crazy, right? That's one reason. Two, because even though it looks a little funky, you can't help but to feel the precision machining, the tolerances, the super hyper premium build quality. Like, it's kind of the same reason, you'll see people buy like like that new Wii GTC knife, right? You can get the same functionality from a knife that's like 50 bucks, right? If anything, that knife is anti-functional with its goofy grind and its weird size and stuff like that. But that knife is still going to sell like hotcakes because it looks unique. It looks interesting. It doesn't have to be at 420 bucks. You can look for optimal performance in brands like Quiet Carry or Tactile. But if you're not into the simpler, more industrial designs, and you like the wacky and you like the goofy, this could very well be the knife for you. And if you want to get it and use it for EDC, you absolutely can. What makes this blade so useful is the fact that, for one, if you sharpen it like a drop point, it's going to turn into a drop point, right? Or a Japanese tanto, right? Because that tip is barely there. But the other thing is how high the handle is in relation to the blade, which means I can hold this comfortably. And let me do this without knocking the camera. I'm getting better about that. But I can hold this comfortably, and then I have plenty of clearance under my knuckles where I'm not touching the table. So I can do rock cuts. I can get it's a little hard to get the tip down. You have to go fairly high. But you still can do it without it being ridiculous. I'm not vertical. I'm at like a 45-degree angle. So you can still get the tip down and use it for, draw cuts, precision cutting, stuff like that. Even with that tiny, tiny point in there, it's still super slicey because that's not going to hang you up on anything. Like that little point there isn't going to stop you from doing anything slicey that you would want to do. You know what I mean? So, if you want to know if this is a fantastically well-built knife, yes, it is. If you want to know, can you use it for everyday carry? Well, it's not the most practical. You absolutely can. But if you've got $420 burning a hole in your pocket, I'm going to recommend you check out the Dracula, the Forever Steel Dracula over this model. And you really have to look at it to understand why. I think this model is fantastic. I just think the Dracula is going to have more practicality, and it's not a Karambit. Both knives are fantastic. I handled the Dracula at Blade Show. But also, if you're interested in this knife or the Dracula, I don't have an affiliate link, but I'm going to link Aurora Blade down in the comments. And I'm going to link them in the comments. No, I'm going to link them in the video description. They have amazing knives. I've bought a ton of knives from them. Some of my favorite knives came from those guys, and they deal in high-end premium Chinese folders. The knives you can buy there, if made in America, would easily be triple the price. Just like this. This is 420 bucks. If this thing got made in America, you're probably looking at close to $1,000. Titanium integral with the machining quality and precision, the blade grinds. Yeah, you're looking at about $1,000 for this. Made in the USA. So they have basically incredibly high value knives, and while they are expensive, like 420 bucks is a lot of money, it's an incredible value compared to how much it could cost, if that makes sense. So otherwise, that's really all I got for you today, guys. If you like the video, like it. If you want to see more content, subscribe. We're super close to 1,300. We need just a few more, and we'll be at 1,300. At 1,500, we've got a fat giveaway, and I'll start displaying the knives that are going to be part of that giveaway soon. But until the next time, guys, I appreciate you. I love you. Peace.